Welcome to the World Football Summit podcast, the show for football industry leaders who want to stay ahead of the game. We bring you the latest insights, trends, and stories from the experts driving innovation and progress in sports business worldwide. Join us as we dive deep into the ideas and initiatives transforming the world of football. From sustainability and innovation to player development, fan engagement, and everything in between. Our goal is to unite the global football industry and drive positive change and progress. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the World Football Summit podcast. I'm your host, Jaime, CMO at World Football Summit. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome back a friend like Agustina de Giovanni to the show. For those of you who don't know Agustina, she's a mental performance expert with amazing experience working with football clubs in the US like DC United. And she's currently working with Bay FC, the women's soccer club founded in 2023. Achieving peak mental performance is critical, but in today's world, it has become super challenging, which is why I wanted to bring Agustina back to the show and talk about her mental performance frameworks and how she applies them to Bay FC. Some of these frameworks include process over outcome, drills, becoming skills which then transform into valuable resources. Her BFS framework, which is body language, focus, and self-talk. Agustina is a former Olympic athlete as well, so of course we had to talk about the Olympics. And we also discussed success cases, common patterns among the best athletes. This is an action-packed, highly practical episode, so I really encourage you to stick to the very end. But before kicking off, a quick reminder. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the podcast on your platform of choice. Share it with your colleagues in the industry as well. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve, subscribe to our newsletter. You can find all the links in the show notes. Remember, World Football Summit Europe in Sevilla is just around the corner on September 18th and 19th. And we also recently announced the return to World Football Summit Asia, taking place in December in Riyadh. Check it all out on our website. And now, let's welcome Agustina de Giovanni back to the World Football Summit podcast. Agustina, you cannot imagine how happy I am to welcome you back to the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
So many things have been going on, and this is kind of going to be a conversation among friends that a lot of people are going to listen to. But anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but I am excited to see you again, to talk to you again, and to be in touch with you and the whole organization that since the first day, we already had a great energy and great ideas. And after the first podcast was great. People loved it. So thank you for that. And now ready to talk to you.
Yeah, credit to you for that first podcast and looking forward to this one. I think the energy is good. A lot has been going on with you. New role, for those of you that don't know, I don't know if you want to describe your new role, where you are, kind of like put you in the map a little bit, and tell us about the opportunity, the challenges. So what's up?
Of course. I am right now in San Jose. That's where Bay FC's female football team or soccer team operates. Bay FC's expansion team is an expansion team from the NWSL, the American League, for if any foreign is listening to this. For the first, it's like the MLS of the female. That's how I explain my Argentine friends. And this year they have had one of the expansion teams here in like the Bay Area in San Francisco. It's an amazing project. And I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to be here since the beginning of the year, to be a part of this club, these people, this culture, and this idea of being a part of an organization that wants to be the first one in the world and in the near future, and at the same time having top like really good people working with along with great professionals. So this year has been amazing so far. It has been non-stop. It has been with a lot of challenges and learning process, good challenges, the challenge that you want to have to grow. So it's been great.
You just described the overall state of the industry, being challenging, non-stop, but at the end of the day, it's very
100%.
rewarding, I would say. And you have
100%.
a fantastic project you're working with, expansion team in a league that's growing, in a sport that's becoming mainstream in a country that traditionally has, not been where soccer hasn't been the biggest sport yet. No, so
Right. Yeah, it's not a part of the culture in there. I went to college here like 20 years ago. Soccer wasn't in my college. We only had female soccer, not male, and it wasn't a part of the everyday talk. NFL or like college football, American football, or if you talked about baseball and ice hockey and NFL, and, basketball. But now you hear in those type of conversation that soccer is part of it. So it's nice to see the growth since the last 20 years for me, since the time I've been here.
well, there's let's say high level Argentinians that you guys are over there changing the perception of soccer. Let's just leave it at that, and let people guess who they are. But
Yes, true.
anyway, last conversation that was a year ago. We talked a lot about frameworks and models that, to be completely honest, and this is something that I wanted to say on the podcast publicly, is that they've been really helpful for me.
Oh, good.
So I appreciate that. And I
Of
think
course.
it's a good time to kind of like review some of them and see how they have evolved, no? Because I'm of the belief that models and frameworks are set to evolve. And one of the ones that I really like most is process over outcome
Yeah.
frame that you talked about, and just enjoy the journey and the ride.
Mhm.
So how are you implementing that philosophy with the players at BFC, considering everything that in terms of pressure, it's a new team, it's a new, a lot of expectations there. So how was that?
Uh, I'll say an expression from the Spanish to the English that it might not make sense, but it's like process is like the last name of this club, but not because of this club. It's just because of the type of challenge, the type of project. An expansion team. Same with any startups or any type of project. It doesn't have to be sports. When you start, especially when you start, we have to understand that we are a part of the teeny tiny process that I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years, but 5 years it's already been 1 year. Like the process is about timing.
Mhm.
And sometimes you think, oh, 1 year is a lot. I was like, it's not a lot. But at the same time, it's, again, if we talk about the culture of the team and besides the players, one type of talk. But let's go. If I make you go back to the mentality of a high performance athlete, 1 year is a lot, and I need results tomorrow. So I don't talk about process, and we have to train the mind in a way for the athletes that it's not like they don't want to talk about the process. We are more used to or trained, and we really want to have results tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we have to from my job it is to deliver the information well enough, good enough, and well explained and train them the way of how valuable is the everyday training, that everyday effort to be able to compete on the weekend. And then let's move from there. So we try to do parallelismo,
Yeah.
parallels, where okay, it's the way you play, it's the way you train. That means it's more important. I think it's more important what you do from Monday to Friday than Saturday, because Saturday it's automatically. So
Hmm.
that's a part of the process. So one thing leads to another one. So if what we try to do here, I think we do it, the staff does it really well. It is the message that we are sending to the players. We are first leading by example. So it's
Hmm.
easier than when you see it instead of when you just listen to the idea.
Hmm. I think and you tell me, but I think for athletes must be tough, because they are accustomed, especially the younger ones, I would say, they're accustomed to always breaking down the next barrier. No, so what's my next obstacle? I have to go get that just to keep rising and reaching that professional level. No, then when you
Mhm.
come into a club that has to like embrace a longer mindset, you really have to know, okay, every day is a win, even if I'm not meeting my ultimate goal. No, so
Yes. Well, for example, let's talk about this model where in America that we have in females here we have the majority of the players that come from college, the female,
yes,
right?
yes,
I work with European players and male players, for example, that is different. Like setups them to Latin America, it's different cultures. This is the culture where you go to college and then you go professional. Now it's changing actually today. They just release a new CBA and things that we're gonna change, but I'm talking about the today reality. It is we have one mindset when in high school, and I said
hmm
high school because we respond to the habits, right? So the habit of of living at home and being living with family and then going to, okay, I live in college and then respond to a different type of pressure and type of process. And then you come here where the rookies, the first year being professional, coming from college, it is like, in a way, it is starting from zero in many ways, not in one way, because of course it's the same sport. However, the approach is different. You are not playing as much. You are coming from being a senior at the start of your team to
Mhm.
come to be one more, which is good, but it is professional. So everyone is as good as you and not having as many minutes and nobody's going to guarantee it's happening everywhere, but they don't know how many minutes are going to make you play this year. So
Right.
it is an everyday message where we have to embrace the quality of the training is also going to help the team excel. So it is important. Everyone is important. And that's the most challenging concept where everyone is important. But yeah, I'm important, but I'm not playing.
Hmm.
So we know the concept we talked last year in our podcast where we train the player over starter. It's
Yeah.
hard because we think ourselves, well, I'm good. If I start, if I'm not, I'm not good. So
Hmm. Hmm.
to answering your question, yes, it is a daily work.
Yeah. It has to be. But I mean, at the end of the day, the thing is that role players, if you will, if you want to call them that, they actually help the quote unquote starters be better. So,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's essential. So while you don't see yourself as being like, star, you're actually leveling up. You're pushing, you're putting pressure, for that best player to defend their position and actually improve.
Yep.
So overall, it's essential that they believe in their role because that's how they're going to elevate the quality of the team, right?
100%. Now we here talk with the coaches where we said, let's the message to the players, right? Let's make the coach's job hard for them to be able to like
Exactly.
think like every week or all the night before, who am I going to play? Because I don't that the options are really just close up instead of, hey, you know what? I don't think I'm going to start, whatever. And then you are actually, if they haven't, again, it's so hard to talk about who's playing and who's not because you can take it personal and then you can
Yeah.
misread the message as a player and then the idea is don't make the decision easy, make it
Yes.
hard, don't prove them right. Like if you haven't played, have the attitude where it's like, oh, did right? Did I make a mistake for not playing her or him? So again, um, it is tricky because we as a humans uh mirror, I'm not playing, I'm not good. That's it. And then if you go back to, for example, of course, I'm Argentine. I have to go back to that example. If you go back to our national team where we won the World Cup in 2022 or this year with the Copa America, you see the bench and you see the starters and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm sure poor the head coach, he had a lot of trouble putting the team together because, it's quality everywhere. And that doesn't mean the ones on the bench are not good enough. I know it's a lot of work, not only from the staff, but also as a team within among the players to say, hey, you know what, you're important. But that takes time, especially in an expansion team.
I mean, at the end of the day, and it must be complicated, right? Because especially in the situation where you guys are in, there's a lot of expectation, there's a lot of pressure to kind of, and even if you're an athlete that's highly like inner driven, let's say, there's always external pressures that you have to manage, no? Um, so I guess that was going to be my next question. How do you help these players manage all these pressures? Is there any, now we're talking about frameworks, any framework, anything that you are emphasizing to kind of like really focus and manage the external pressures effectively?
Well, I think in general, because pressure is pressure. It doesn't matter if it's expansion team, if you're a world champion, or you're going to the Olympics like this year. And again, I'm not only talking about football, but any sport. Um, the pressure part it is, especially maybe you as in your job, you also have your pressure that you put on yourself, and that's the biggest challenge, right? Because it's like sometimes the person that uh, trusts the least or have the least confidence is oneself in oneself, right? How can I try? I believe in you. Jaime, and you don't believe, I'm just saying an example, right? And I believe more in you than you in yourself, right? So we're trying to use uh, that measurement to see how is that going. And then the pressure, it is always the same answer, probably towards a lot of the challenges as a player, where the solution is always to focus on what you can control and
Yeah.
go back to yourself and go back, okay, what are the controllables? What do you have to do? What is your job? You have a lot of work already enough
Hmm.
on what you're doing to be able to look outside and see the pressure. Again, easy for us to say here, sitting down and chatting.
Hmm.
Then you have to be able to implement it and experience the pressure, which not everyone had it before or understand. But with the pressure, it's first make the player like feel like she or him are being heard. And the way I work, it is the person first. Person is the most important thing that just happened today that is playing football or soccer or that swims or any type of sport, and that's going to change. But the constant in any topic that we'll talk with a player will be is the person. So as long as you meet them as a person, then you can achieve anything. And again, it does mean this is making it easier. Not, it's going to be hard. But that's why elite sports and professionalism is only for 0.002% in the whole world. So it does it. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but we're giving you the tools by training your mind to know how to respond to the challenges when you have to face them.
Yeah, I like that. The person always comes first, and in a way, control what you can control. No, that's very stoic philosophy there. No,
Yeah.
so and I agree with that. At the end of the day, there's so many things that you can control. Do you do the best of your ability? Now we're talking about process. We're talking about kind of like focusing on the person first and all of that. I guess my question is another key piece I would imagine is building culture, especially now.
Oh yeah.
Right now is where you're building the club, but this is where the culture actually is the foundations of the culture are set. No, so how does your role as a mental performance expert, if you want to call it that, help contribute to creating a strong culture?
I think it's again, I try to say it's the general thing because I believe it's true, where you have to have, because if you talk with a business person, they're going to tell you the same thing. You have to have your values clear, set, and we have to know what is the mission, why we're here, why did they, in this case, why this club was decided to be built, and how so much the society at the football environment already and everything, and also how are you gonna get that vision done, right? So the culture is very important in these stages also in a way of the values are set. Now, okay, the most important thing, especially for the people involved in any new culture, will be the how, right? So that they can see small examples, small steps. It has have to be gigantic things that we always think is going to be gigantic. After least hearing the word culture, we think as huge things. Yes, that will be the result of many years of work. But right now, it is to show with actions that we are actually in alignment with what we're thinking, what we're saying, we're actually doing it. And that's really important, even though it might seem and sound slow. Again, we can't build any good culture from one day to the next overnight. So it's important to first find the right people. And here, for example, we have good people. And then from there, then results will be guaranteed. It's only a matter of time when you get those results. But towards building a culture, then the values are very important. I always will say the person is so important because from there you're gonna build trust with your peers, you're gonna build trust with the players. And here, I mean, I look for the player to feel safe. I mean, any she or he needs. When I say safe, I mean um, I need to talk about. I need to have to struggle again. I take the mental training the same way I take going to the gym or going to watch a video with the players to see any tactical technique or learning. So in this case, it is okay. I don't know anything about mental training, but you tell me. So build that trust so the player feels comfortable enough. it is something that I try to look for every day.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but to your earlier point, it kind of is about changing the mindset a little bit, where you start embracing what they call the infinite game.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not something. This is something that goes for the long term that you have to continue to improve. It's an ongoing journey at the end of the day, and it's competition, I guess, against yourself to be better, to actually embrace that culture and be a positive part of that culture, right?
Yes, it is a famous we over me, and things that we have heard a lot. However, they are true, and uh, they seem phrased just from a book. That it sounds pretty, but if you are thinking only about yourself, uh, and you want to be a part of the culture, then it will be a point that it's going to be a problem, right? Maybe at the beginning you can be okay with it, and you can like fool people around or something, but it is important to be the living principles. Again, without actions, everything just it's written and looks pretty. That's it. But with the
Yeah,
actions, actually, where you're gonna find challenges, you're gonna find mistakes because we all make mistakes, and they're not here everywhere. So it is important where the people that we have to think are we over me, and then sometimes the player has to think about first about him or herself to understand. Okay, what do I have to do now?
yeah,
Okay, this is my role. Okay, let's now I can think about the we. So that's why I always tell the players from the performance point of view, understand your role. But also, in that case, maybe my job to tell you, okay, your role is this, and we'll build it together, or the head coach, or the manager, or whoever is involved on that building. But be open minded,
mhm,
have the growth mindset, where we all can add value, but we have to actually translate it to action. For me, action is key.
yeah. I agree. And one of the most actionable frameworks that we discussed last time that has been very helpful for me is your BFS framework, which is body language, focus, and self-talk.
Yes. And now we have added two more. So I could call it the five non-negotiable. Actually, I work with all the players or the teams that I've been working on. We added the control what you can control and the 100% effort. So it's like BFS, it's on the control, but we know what it means. And then the 100% effort, because, you know, if you go back to, again, talking about individual training, mental training, trying to um, have those five skills,
Yeah,
it sounds very easy, but try to do it every day, the five of them, especially then when you perform. And it's really hard because we work on the principle of no judgment. This is not in my office. I really want to work on you and I. If you're in a session, there's no judgment. It doesn't. The good or bad doesn't exist. It's only what you want to do because you have a goal that is going to be different than mine. That doesn't mean that what you're doing is good or is bad or is better than me or is worse. It is just what we decided to do to go towards your goal. So with that type of mindset, if you go to 100% effort, sometimes because if you don't go to 100% effort, then your mind is going to go to good or bad, right? And the idea is to train your mind to while you are performing to don't judge it and to go to the next best movement or the next best decision or the next goal or anything you have to do as good as possible your best condition you can possibly have. So if you're judging, then you are putting yourself in a situation where you have to think, and then it won't be as fast as you want. First, and second, your confidence gets hurt. Everything we do is to protect this baby confidence that we have that is ours. Hopefully, it's big enough. So sometimes your energy can be 1 to 10. Sometimes it can be at 8. But the point is, I don't care, quote unquote, that if you have a 10, a 3, or a 5, I care how much you're giving me. So let's say today's a 3 because you're having problems at home, because you're a human being and you couldn't sleep because if a baby is 7 months old, she or he is not sleeping and things like that. So you haven't slept. So your energy is 3. Okay, how much effort did you give today? 3. Excellent. That's the important part because that's intentional training. We're talking the last podcast too, where it's intention that is more important than the result. Going back to the process, you see how everything is connected? Because when you go to compete, I know you're gonna have good energy most of the times. I know there are things that are going to be more like controllable. So your energy is going to be maybe, let's say 9, let's say 8, let's say 7. Great. Then you give a 9. You're trying to give 100% effort. Then since the conditions of the game usually are ideal, then I know you are trying to do 100% effort, which is going to be 9, 8, 7. It's a lot, right? So it's different. It's how you approach certain things. And the control we can control, again, it's like we talked before. Energy is really important for sports. And if we don't understand that we're focusing on things that are not in our control, that are not useful, that actually don't help us, then you don't understand that you're wasting your energy. Your energy is
Yeah.
confusing, it's going somewhere else. So let's say you are focusing on 10 things and then all your energy is going towards there. However, 4 of those things, they are not in control. Whether if the plane is delayed, if your coach has decided you are not playing, you're going to the bench, and whatever happens, that's whether you really want it or not, you cannot, even though those are the not controllables are the things that take the most energy because we can't control it. So it makes us frustrated, especially elite athletes. We have to control everything because we do everything as elite. And so once you understand, you know what, that's not in my control, then over those 10 things, you actually invest in your energy on 6. So imagine how much more energy you have. And then when I say energy, is energy to make decisions, energy to be a better teammate, energy to be a better person, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you want to spend your energy with is your new currency, then you can do it.
And that's where focus comes in, right? At the end of the day, being able to understand what you can control. And once you decide what you cannot control, being able to have that discipline to focus on those things that you can, right? At the end of the day. So everything ties
100%.
together.
That concept of discipline, you said it right there. You need it a lot. And once you exercise that, because it's like a muscle, you exercise the
Yeah.
discipline, you exercise the understanding of control or not control, you can tell your confidence goes high because you're actually deciding where to focus, like where your focus goes. And we call it we're going in and out, right? You decide when you go in, you decide you're going to go when you go out. Whether the other side will be you are the victim of whatever happens, and that just happens, you have no decisions. Imagine the difference between one confidence to the other one, where again, you can have a really like great confidence and it will still sport wise, we're losing the 4-0 like game. I'm not saying that these type of things are gonna guarantee you winning and being a champion stuff because everyone will be. I'm saying your quality of life will change.
Yeah.
Your maybe the how many years you're going to play will be longer, like your career will get longer because of these type of small things, which actually they sound small, but just try to do 1 or 2 every day, and that's going to be challenged because the consistency, another big concept that we always work on, comes in.
Yeah. But as you said, it's going to make you a better person. And the person comes first. Okay. Then, you will perform better, best, whatever. But at the end of the day, I think one has to be in peace with who he is as a person or she is as a person. And you said it. It's easier said than done. It's super challenging. And I'm not an athlete. I'm far from it. But it's really humbling to try and say, hey, today I can only give 3. And my 100% is 3. But at least I'm going to try to give it my all. And that's very tough to do. But once you get into that mindset, it's kind of liberating, I would say.
You just said so many things. I totally agree because with the humbling part, you know, it's a sort of counterintuitive because sometimes the ego gets in the way, where sometimes the ego helps you get certain places, and sometimes it can get in the way of trying to get better. So yes, it helps, but sometimes it can be a big problem if you don't control it. But I'm gonna say eliminate it because that's not what we're looking for. Because I'm not saying it's impossible because I don't believe in that word, but it's kind of hard, and I don't want you to waste energy on that. But with that example of humbling, then the ego's voice sort of goes down a little bit, and it's like, you know what, this is real. This is something that the players have actually taught me, and not all the way around in sessions. Sometimes like, hey, you're human. We like you to see human. If you're human, I can be human. On the trying to be give the players all the time everything and give them a lot. One forgets to show the vulnerability, which I think is also a principle, but sometimes it's hard to let yourself to show it.
Mhm.
And that part of okay, that I'm a human. That doesn't mean I'm not exceptional. I'm just human and I have certain things. And the humble, like the humility part, it's just said in a perfect way. And another thing that you said before that I don't want to forget is about being that the person is the most important thing, and always look for that. And that sounds counterintuitive too, because I want you to succeed, and even though you say you're not an athlete, you still perform. You look for performance either in your job, at home. So there's a spot in your life that looking for performance. So it is the same thing, right? I just dedicate my life to sports and organizations, but it's the same thing. Where if you look, this is a concept that every day I see through. If you look for the person first, if you don't go to the soft part. I don't want it to go hard. Like they says, which I understand because I understood that too when I was competed. However, if you want to be a good athlete, do the right thing. Be a good person. Yeah, it sounds like it's not, but if you really, let's say, at least don't do it because you believe it. Try it because it's the shortcut to get to your result. Then it goes that way because our nature is to be good people. Again, and I don't say too much the good and bad, remember, because we're the judgment, but is to be as good as you can or your best version, right? Or today this is what the information I have today, Jaime. This is what I can give you. Maybe next year I will change, but today this is my 100%. And it's really nice when you actually prove every day that if you look to be the right person and good for people, good for your culture, good for society, then you're actually gonna get there. It's for me, it's a very fulfilling part of the job.
Yeah, the person makes the better professional, right? At
Yeah,
the end of the day. So, and I like that. And I believe that. In a way, I mean, I haven't expressed it maybe as clear as you have had, but it's kind of like that inner belief that you always try to have to be at peace with what you're doing. I think, and giving your all and trying to be as good as you can, And Agustin, I mean, obviously you have experience being an Olympic athlete and the Olympics have just finished. So even if this is a football related podcast, I think we cannot avoid speaking about the Olympics a little bit, because I think there have been many powerful lessons in the field of mental performance. I have my ideas, but I want to learn from you because you're the expert. Any examples that stand out to you?
what I found amazing was, again, there are no many mental coaches or however you want to name it, because again, it's just a name. But people are actually advocating for athletes and their mental health. Not only athletes, because I think coaches have a lot of pressure too, and everyone that is around athletes, everyone needs the mental health part, not because you have a problem, just because it's a part of it. And the principle that I use it is you a high performance team and high performance athletes build from the preparation of three things: the physical part, either in the weight room, on the field, whatever is your sport that you train. Then the technical part. Usually it's videos. It doesn't matter which sport. And then you review that, the tactical, the technical, and then the mental training. So those are the three that for me, I believe really strongly that made up high performance anywhere. So what it fascinated me about this Olympics was the result of the 2021 athlete talking more, right? Because first, I think the 2021 was the first time that people started talking, and now now the next Olympics were like, okay, this is a part of the training. This is how I journal. This is how I meditate in the morning. Simone Biles said, yeah, I had a session this morning, and she mentioned the time change, which we are 9 hours behind. So all the mental coaches getting up at 3 in the morning before they competed. So they actually help us with, she resonated with us actually working, doing the invisible work where it's okay. It has to be invisible. And at the same time, it doesn't, because people need to know that these people are actually training their mind. This is the way I do it. So the most fascinating things about this Olympics was finally starting to see it as a part of the training, and not only as a response of a trauma, also or response of something bad happened to you, which that's also 100% valid. But it is a part of preventing something. It's a part of helping the load of, like I said before, pressure, helping the load of training, helping the load of being away from home, and all of the things that it takes to be an Olympic athlete.
Hmm. And how does, obviously, it's great to see that finally those voices are being heard. They are willing to speak up, and people are also willing to listen and understand the importance, no? Because obviously it's kind of like a conversation. One has to be willing to talk and the other one to listen. But I guess also there's a degree of maturity there, no? Becoming more mature and understanding. And I guess my question then is
That's it.
how different or how do you approach when you speak with players that are at different stages of their career? Um, how does the conversation differ between someone who's more junior and someone who's a more veteran?
Regarding that mental training,
Yeah, in general, how do you approach it? How do you let them know about the
yeah,
importance?
yeah,
Because you said it, no?
yes.
Be a high performance, you have to be good at your physical part, good at your tactical part, and then you have your mental training, right? Is it the same across between junior players and senior players?
Yeah, following what you said also before about how we're more also open to listen, and this generation is also more open to talk, and how the sport and the human being evolved as well. The way you talk to them, it is first e- explain the tools, right? Why they are important, how the mind works, and high performance, and why this is going to be make your life actually better. It's not the way you approach them. It is the way I respond or I plan my training program depending on their goals, right? And sometimes the vision of their life, because these are the same, of course, as an athlete that's about to retire, an athlete that's about to go to the Olympics for the first time, an athlete that in a high school where it's like, wait, they haven't understood so many things yet, so I cannot start from the starting point that I do with the professional athletes already. So answering your question is first depending on their goals, but also depending on the context. And yes, the maturity part where sometimes I have 15. I actually have a now he's 17 years old, but when I started working with him, he was 15, that he would understand the concept so much that, again, neither good or bad, or faster, or he will bring topics where someone is 25 years old doesn't see it yet. So it's also depending on how they are brought up, not only the academy part and like the school that they go to, or how they study, for example, because studying is also a training in the mind, but also the family. So you have to take account so many things, and each individual is a different world. I like to do a individualized program. I like to get because since one of my own principle as a coach is person first, like you said, then I want to actually uh, act accordingly, and my actions translate. Okay, I wanna know you. So yeah, it depends. A general answer will depend on the maturity and the experience. Yes.
Yeah. And well, before you were mentioning the importance of consistency,
Is there?
another word that I like to make reference to, it starts with C, is context. No, I think each player
And that,
has their own
is it?
context, and at a given point in their life, and that plays a huge part in this, I would assume. But even if you try to, and it makes sense, try to personalize the training because each person is different and has their unique context, which is why I was thinking of the word. Are there any common patterns that you see, in terms of mental? I don't know if the word is barriers, if you want to call it that, but or challenges that are common among the football players you work with?
Uh, the context, I always the word context will be the load of work in school, for example. Going back to the example, neither good or bad, but some players, well, now it's changing with the online schooling. But like when I started work, well, let's say 10 years ago, it was more about either you go to college or not. And that changes in a way where it's different, not the mindset, but the way you approach things. Because if you're in college, then your mind is at another speed doing different things and with different challenges and with less time or with different, again, context. And if you don't, then the mind, again, it's different. It's not, neither or are good or bad. It's just the difference. So barriers, I don't find any barriers to train their mind, right? The context will be how much information have they had before him or she and I start working. That will, of course, will set up where we start our work, because a part of my job is also teaching, right? That's one of the things I like the most. You show them how it works, you explain the concept, athletes to understand that. So about the explanation part, it's the most fascinating part because you make them engage, and I like always to give them tools to not depend on me or anyone. And every time they leave, they are like, okay, I have these tools now. I don't know if I answered that question because I know I went too many places. Yeah.
No, no, no. But I think it makes sense. At the end of the day, yeah, there could be. I mean, each person is different, right? Each context is different, so it's really hard to find some common patterns, no? But I guess this kind of leads me to turn that and flip that around. I want to talk about greatness because you have a lot of, these players that you work with. I'm pretty sure they all want to be great, and they always have their examples, let's say, or their benchmarks, no? And you see it across sports. So, for example, when you see Michael Phelps, you're a very expert on swimming, or when you see Djokovic and he says, you know what, I'm going to go after Nadal and Federer. I don't care, they're the best in history. I'm going after them. So that is something that or who knows. I want to find out where, because I know he exists. The player that wants to be the next Messi, or I want to find the girl that wants to be the best player in the world. So are there any, going back to patterns, or is there anything that characterizes those that actually want to be legends?
You mean if I meet any player that said, hey, I want to be the next Messi or something?
What makes what is the characteristic of someone that wants to be the best in history?
Usually, usually everyone wants to be the best, or at least the people that I work with, because they are all in the 0.002% of in the whole world. Uh, and I like to work with those people. I really enjoy it, and I it's easy for me in a way to work there because I understand them, and that's why one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing today, because you can look for greatness all the time, and sometimes take care of your mind and not abuse the mind so much like we used to do without realizing. So I think greatness, I think it's a definition that uh, I want to say the word again, is defined by your habits and your values, not about results. Because again, if you're going to say process over outcome, I am very faithful to whatever I said. So I'm doing it. So my answer is going to be like that. And of course, all this last name, those names that you just mentioned, they're all not great, like legendaries. Like, so now it's so hard to find someone like that. But you know what
Yeah,
separated them from the good to the great, to find greatness, is the habits that they have done. It's the values that have applied.
yeah,
You say, everyone say, oh, how great person Messi is, besides, at least in this country, besides him being who he, right, really like amazing. And it's just thinking already like he's my retire soon just breaks my heart. But greatness comes with who you are while you're doing what you do, right? And how many messages like now Michael Phelps here in America, I mean, everywhere he's helping with his foundation. His wife is amazing. And he spoke up and she spoke up about depression and about the mental health issues that Michael had during COVID, and they open up. So they are giving legacy. I think greatness is very close to the word of legacy to the human being, the humankind. And that they show you, hey, you know what? Yeah, you can be talented, but how many hours after training Messi, Michael Jordan, Djokovic, anyone you want to mention? They stayed after training, before training. They did not spend their birthday, Christmas, weddings, and everything, and like of their friends or at home or cold or hot or whatever, because of they wanted to have that goal. So I think greatness is more about besides whatever happens besides the sport. Again, I'm not talking about it's not the result. I mean, you see the numbers of Messi, the numbers of the players, Simone Biles. I mean, she's like, I don't know, it's amazing. I'm not saying that it's not, but without her being who she is, I don't know if you want to talk so much about her. Just a thought.
Hmm. It actually goes back to something we discussed last year as well, which is, how it's another one of your valuable frameworks, how drills become skills and those become resources. I guess the more time that you actually spend in
Okay?
your drills, you can develop more skills and you can have more
100%.
resources, At the end of the day, it's a
Yeah.
trade-off because it's time that you have to
Yeah.
invest.
It's a
It's a
decision,
decision, right?
right? It's like you decide to be that type of person because then you have to be committed when you have motivation. It's a
It's
decision.
it's that thing that you can control. It's a decision you
Yeah.
can control. The time that you can invest. It goes back to, to your five non-negotiables,
100%. Yes. Yes.
So Agustina, I want to be respectful of your time. We have a few minutes left.
I have one thing to say that
Please go ahead.
I wanted to add when you were talking because I was thinking too fast and I couldn't put into words. Regarding the context about when I talk about school and college, that if something limits if there was a barrier on the players or not. And I think a better example is to say, how if you are taking this training and a physical training, one barrier will be if you are hydrating properly or if you are eating properly, whatever your intake, the intake for your body to perform, right? If you're talking about physical, it's very similar to the mentality part where you can work better. This is true if the athlete is player is choosing his intake mentally, if he sounds okay, properly the same way he or she is eating healthy, is not eating sugar, is controlling that. For example, same thing, healthy food. I always said habits not only about what you eat, but it's also what you listen to, who you listen to, who you hang out with, who are your friends, what you actually letting get it get it in your head, right? So same thing is food for the body is the same food it is the books that you read. And some people don't like to read, okay, which audiobook are you listening to? What podcast are you listening to? Now you have the famous school wheels where you can be listening to anything when you're in the bus, in the plane, driving like so many long distances. So the only barrier will be the decision, going back to what I just said. That's why I linked the topics, the decision that you're making to what are you allowing or what are you deciding to let in your head. So even take care of the athlete where the red light therapy at night. Be careful with the amount of blue light that you get in that you allow yourself to watch. This is a whole other topic, but any detail is going to impact the quality of your brain, which means it's going to impact the quality of, since we take it as a muscle, quote unquote, the quality of your thoughts.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm really glad that
Mm.
you mentioned that because I think we live in an era where everybody is talking about, I mean, yes, for some time, the importance of nutrition, the importance of having a healthy lifestyle. Now you see a lot more conversation around the importance of sleep
Oh
and high
yeah,
quality
big
sleep.
fan.
That's a big one. But you also have to be mindful of, as you said it, the food you're giving your mind, and that in all the inputs. And it's an audiobook. It's who you're talking to. It's what you're talking it's what you're talking about. At the end of the day, that also feeds into the overall health and well being of the person.
The quality of people that you're deciding which one that you are the result of the five people that you hang out with. Just pick five, right? I totally believe like you
Exactly.
choose people. Again, it's like we said at the beginning. You are a player or starter, so whoever is not playing is leveling up or not. The level, going back to the training, the level of training. Same thing. Do you want to level up the quality of your life or not? Do you want to evolve? We start complaining about the same thing and not change and being a victim of life instead of being a participant. So yeah, I love that topic.
Yeah, we could spend hours and hours. But I guess, what I guess I want to ask you, where do you see the space, the field of mental performance? How would it evolve over the next, I don't know, 5, 10 years? Are we brave enough to try to define that, or no?
Based on, since we're talking after the Olympics, I'm more hopeful now that I've taken the mental training as a training and more serious. Now it's just like we said in last year. Oh yeah, crazy people will talk to you. Like that concept of crazy, that concept of which I don't agree. I don't like that concept. We have a problem. That's why you're coming to see me. Um, that type of all and take term of mental health, mental training cycle, however you want to name it, uh, is what actually hurt a lot. It hurt me when I was competing too. Another reason why I do what I do. So I really hope that the next Olympics we're talking about more, that I saw the Olympic Village have the mindful place, I was like, okay, now they call me mindful, that's good. So, this is an important part of release stress, things like that, as that will be reactive to a competition. And my goal or my dream will be, let's do instead of reactive and active, let's act on this is a part of training. Let's have it a place where you can be your coach. You can do this, you can do that. I am confident. I don't know the timing. I don't know about how long, if it's 5, if it's 10, if it's 4 in LA in the next Olympics. Um, you know, um, yeah, I have faith in LA because I've seen great things doing here. So maybe we'll talk about it for a year.
We're gonna have to speak each year until that time's come. So let's sit. Let's
Love
sit.
to, and you have to come for that.
Oh yeah, okay. Start planning.
In 4 years, you have to do the podcast here,
Oh, that's a good one.
alive.
That's a good one. I'm gonna start planning
Yes,
for that one. No, and
perfect. Do it.
let's actually. That's a question that came to mind now. And let's say we travel down the line 10 years. If you had to recommend players that you're working with now, like one skill, to keep in mind, to never forget, to let's say you send them a gift 10 years down the line, you want them to open it. What would it be?
You mean as a skill for them to perform or for what?
To perform better, or a framework to remember a concept, an idea, something that's gonna, they imagine it's like a gift. They open up and they say, oh yes, this is a good gift, in terms of optimizing their mental performance.
Person first.
I like that. I like that.
Because when you do that, you understand that swimming or football or soccer or whatever you do is not the end of the world. It's not the center of your life, even though it's the most important thing that you might think that you might be doing today. It takes a lot of the pressure that we talked at the beginning of that whatever you do, the sport.
Mhm.
And so by default, it's going to help you perform better. And before that, you're a better person. So it's a win-win-win-win situation.
That is a beautiful way to end this conversation. I couldn't imagine a perfect ending. More than that, I don't know if there's anything else. I want to thank you, of all,
No, thank
because
you.
I don't know who's going to listen, but I did, and I
Uh,
learned so much, and it's just valuable for me. And I want to thank you for the time. I don't know if there's
we'll
any
learn together.
last words you want to share with the audience, those who do listen. Anything that comes to mind.
I just wanted to add that part of the food, whatever is food for your body, is food for your soul. It's food for your mind, because the soul is a part. And uh, thank you always, of course. And I learn with you uh, every time we talk and every time we exchange emails and communicate with each other. And just if the message is, please let's reevaluate the term of people that do mental health or train their mind, they're crazy or they have a problem. And that judgment, that take the judgment of things. Like we don't have all the answers. And again, not everyone needs everything, but taking care of your mind at the right time, in the right place, with the right people, or whatever you choose, it is important because it is a part of your life, and it's the machine that runs your life, and you're listening to yourself all the time, and you cannot turn it off. You can't stop training, but you cannot stop thinking. So that's why I say it's really important to pay attention, to educate, to train it. Like we try to train our bodies. I really hope that stereotype where crazy people and stuff like that. It's a harsh term, and it's really sad when I hear it because it's like the whole wrong concept.
Yeah,
I
I
really
agree.
hope that will change.
I agree. It's a shame because at the end of the day, I mean, it's probably your mental self, let's call it that, if you will. Because you have your physical
Mhm.
self, you have your nutrition, all that. It's
Mhm.
the one that's present the entire day.
Yep.
So it's always there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Probably that's why it's the hardest part to train.
Yeah,
Well,
and sometimes the hardest part to see is training because it's there all the time.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, it's there. Yeah, whatever's there. And that kind of get it, like, uh, it can't be your hell. It can't be your heaven.
yeah,
It's
and
up
it's
to
the more
you,
complex. Is you can control what you can control.
100%. It's never going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it.
Yeah. Well, Agus, thank you so much. This was enlightening.
Thank you.
We're bringing you back, so I will reach
Yes.
out. Have an
Thank you so
awesome
much.
day, and thank you, and
Will
have a great
do.
one.
Pleasures. Thanks to everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
And there you have her, Agustina de Giovanni. I don't know what to say. That was such an amazing conversation, and it definitely helped me at a personal level. I hope it helped you, because I think we talked about many things that are just human, no? And if we go to the takeaways, if there's only one thing that you have to remember from this episode, is that the person always comes first. You know, that's the main message. If you're at peace with yourself, and trying to be the best you can be, you're probably going to be a better professional, a better family member, a better friend at the end of the day. So isn't that important? Anyway, other takeaways from the conversation. I really like the way she revisited her BFS framework. Remember, it's body language, it's focus, it's self-talk. And to that, she added the control, what you can control, and giving your 100% effort, making it the 5 non-negotiables. And that's so true. Sometimes you have to be humble enough to understand where your energy levels are, but what's non-negotiable is the effort that you can bring to the table. And that's something that you can control. And being able to focus on what you can control. So everything ties together, you know? If you want to be a high performer, not only in sport, but in life, you need to master the physical piece, the tactical piece, and the mental training. So I really hope this conversation was at least going to make you curious about how you can be better from the mental pillar. Let's call it that, right? And of course, remember the importance of enjoying the process over the outcome, and how important it is, as Agustina was saying, the food that you give your mind. We live in a world where everybody's talking about the importance of eating healthy and getting sleep, which of course it is. But have you given thought to the food you're giving your mind? Because that is making a huge difference in your life and in your career. Anyway, guys, nothing else from my side. Let me know what you think of this episode. As always, reach out on social media. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, share it with someone that you believe can benefit from this conversation. And also make sure you sign up to our newsletter. Every week we send updates, trends, everything that goes on at our events. The links in the show notes. And nothing else. I want to wish you a great rest of your day. And hopefully we'll see you next time.